Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. I am your hostess with the mostest, Rosie Convoy. Thanks for tuning in. Just want to say a quick hello to everybody in the chat. Thanks so much for jumping in here. Sorry about the slight delay. I will be running the show on my own today. So yeah, my co-host has not shown up, and we won't get into that. So without further ado, I will bring up my guests. One is from New Zealand. His name is Clark Ellery. And forgive me if I mispronounce that. And my other guest, of course, is Rave Dark. I almost said your real name, but I will bring you up here. Thanks, guys, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Hi.
Hello.
How are things in New Zealand?
Yeah, it's pretty warm here at the moment. It's quite nice, so probably a little bit different to Canada right now in terms of temperature.
Of course, but, yeah. Rave Dark, of course, is in the Ottawa area, a couple of hours away from Ottawa. How's the weather down there, bud?
I'm not gonna lie, it's actually really nice today. Like it was like plus 12 or something. That's Celsius. I don't know what the conversion would be for Fahrenheit, but pretty nice day considering. Like it's February. We should be hurting right now. It was so cold this time of the year at the convoy. Like we were freezing, like super freezing down there. And yeah, totally nice day this year. Southern Ontario, you never know what you're going to get.
So Clark, yeah, whereabouts are you in the North Island or are you in the South Island?
I'm in the North Island. I'm just going to get some headphones so I can hear you guys better. But okay. I'm in the North Island of New Zealand. So I'm in Palmerston North. So that was about 2 hours drive from Wellington. So it's quite close to our capital city, which is Wellington, of course. Yeah, so it's nice and warm here.
And from what I understand, both of you were at your protests. I don't know if you knew this, Clark, but our parliament is on Wellington Street.
So you're telling me in Canada it's on Wellington Street?
Yep.
Wow, that's pretty ironic, isn't it?
I think it's a nice coincidence, honestly.
Yeah, it seems to be.
Go ahead.
It seems to be a Commonwealth thing. Like wherever the British Commonwealth laid down, it's like Wellington becomes like the street that the Parliament or whatever the Capitol building is on.
So how are the headphones? You good to go now, Clark?
Oh, I'm just gonna get my So repeat that. Sorry.
No. Oh, I was asking if the headphones, if they had made any difference.
In about 10 seconds, I'm hoping that they will. So, okay. Do I change? Oh.
So we'll just start. Raven, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and.
Well, my name is Tyler. That's okay. I just I put Rave Dark up because that was kind of the name that I came up with for what we were doing down there, and yeah, so I saw what was going on with the protest and the convoy, and I had to see it myself. So I went, and I figured one of two things was happening here. Either the news was right, and there really were this group of racist Nazi truckers that were like loading up and they had all their swastikas and they were on the way to Ottawa, right? And they were going to do some bad stuff. Not in my country. We don't do Nazis here. There's no acceptance for it or any of that. I know that's commonplace the world over. So either there was a bunch of Nazis that were going to get a boot directly somewhere that I'm sure you'll be demonetized for me saying, or the government and the news had a whole lot of explaining. And turns out they got a lot of explaining to do.
Are you oh, okay, so I was wondering where that echo was coming from. So it must have been coming from Clark's end. So that's okay. He'll leave for a second and then rejoin.
I'm in a similar situation. I kind of live like in the back 40, so the reception won't be the best, but I'm getting some good stuff right now. So
That's good. No, I'm glad. Maybe at some point, Jason, my co-host, will show up, but yeah, the guy actually, he does a lot of stuff that you do, Tyler. He was editing something, and he said he had been editing for 20 hours straight and hadn't slept. And so he said he was going to lie down for a little bit, and I went, oh, okay, plan B. And here we are.
Sometimes the dopamine's just too strong. You can't turn away. You gotta finish. You know what I mean? Editing's like that. You get obsessive.
So Clark, would you like to introduce yourself then, please?
Yep. So Clark Ellery from Palmerston North, New Zealand, and I was part of the convoy in Palmerston, in Wellington 2 years ago, 2022, and my reasons for going down there were I'd been mandated at a couple of jobs. So after losing those jobs and seeing also a dictator government overreach as I saw it, and just infiltrating every part of our lifestyle and just too much overreach. And my other reasons, I went down there to do what I could do best, and that was try to stand up for our rights, and also expose the government using what they like to use as well, which is propaganda and videos. I thought I could do that too. My background in doing that is just doing it for fun. So I just I'd rather be filming fun situations around town or in the country, but I knew this was of historical importance. It was pretty obvious, and another reason why I went down was the Canadians, the truckers, in 2022, pretty much ignited something in us. It was like amazing. Like you wanted to do something in New Zealand, and seeing what you guys are doing and the restrictions that were being put on you and what you were doing over there was literally in New Zealand. It was like we saw you as heroes, and that I would say was a huge, if not the motivation that we needed to go to Wellington. Without you guys realizing it, if you do or don't, it was seeing that created our convoy, which meant we went to Wellington and it became more of a success. If that didn't happen, your convoy, I don't think it would have been anywhere near like it was.
Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, so I went down there after losing my jobs, went down and helped out, filmed, and I managed to get some video clips of some pretty historical things that were happening. All the injustices that were happening before that with the COVID lockdowns and all the restrictions finally came to a crunch when it came to Wellington, and the police who you thought would serve us, and it's probably the same as you guys, ended up sort of turning against us. So that's why the videos that I did went viral, I think, or got popular, because seeing police do that on that level was probably about 41 years. In 1981 was the last time that sort of level of violence happened in New Zealand. So it was kind of a shock that it happened again in New Zealand after 41 years for a complete different cause. So, for me going down there, filming it was really important to showcase what the police were doing, what the media were lying about and not showing. But it really came down to Canada being the one that started off, I think, these worldwide movements. And it motivated me to go down there, plus my other reasons, but that really pushed me. Finally seeing the truck drivers in minus conditions when it was summer here, I thought if you guys could do it in minus 20, minus 30, whatever temperature it was, and we were in 20 plus degrees, I said, why can't I stand up for my rights at summertime? And the truckies are doing it in harder conditions, having all these restrictions on their bank accounts, and I heard a lot of things were happening, and I didn't have it quite that bad, but that was my motivation, thinking if they can do it, why can't I do it? And that was my main reason, one of my main reasons for going down there.
That's fantastic. That's really great. So apparently I'll just put you guys full screen when you're talking, because there's a bit of an echo happening. So just trying to solve it any way I know how. I've got my phone. I'm not even doing this on a laptop. So this is like very, so no, that's fantastic. So you were inspired by the Canadian truckers, and as you can see, like we're flying your flag here because I saw the Canadian flags that were flying in your convoy, and it inspired me. So for the last 2 years, I've always got a New Zealand flag. Actually, there's a friend in New Zealand. He's sending me the United Tribes flag. It should be here any day.
Lovely.
So I'll be adding that to my. Did you want to say something, Tyler? Go ahead. I'll full screen you.
Yeah, I was just going to chime in. I just wanted to say to Clark, like, we were really, really honored when we were down there to see the maple leaf right on the front of the lead trucks of all of these convoys the world over. You know, like, it really got buried in the news up here, but like, Mexico did it. Belgium did it. There were a ton that did it, and on every lead truck there was a Canadian flag, and it was hard not to be like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it was really, really difficult to not be totally honored by everybody kind of doing that, like we felt like we had really done something to shift things in the right direction, and it felt like a little bit like the propaganda wasn't winning. Like the word was getting out and people were seeing what happened, right? I didn't know what I was doing. So to go back, I didn't really introduce myself, like my past so well there. So I was in construction from like 16 or something till like, 30, 35. And then I got inspired and picked up the cameras, right? I did a little bit of running around and just droning areas, pretty much same as you. Just go find beautiful spots and send the drone up. And I kind of recorded myself doing it a little bit. I was never really much one for talking on camera. It kind of intimidated me, right? But so that's where I came from. I kind of like just changed over and decided I was going to do something else. And of course, with all the lockdowns continually and all that, people were hurting. And I saw an opportunity to, much like you, go out and, like, I had the tools, I had the gear, I had the time. Why not go on and see what's actually going on yourself, And I recorded it. So same as you there. But yeah, definitely to go back to what I started on. Thank you. Like, to everyone down there, everyone everywhere who was a part of those the convoys across the world, flying the Canadian flag on the lead truck, especially, like, Canada appreciates you.
I'm honored. Thank you. It was amazing to have a country that seemed to have parallels to what we were dealing with, same sort of dictator, left-wing government that was trying to come across as really nice, but you could see through their facade. And I felt like if one country could get us, and I definitely felt for you guys with Trudeau, and I still do. So I did see similarities between New Zealand and Canada, and but you guys motivated our country like you wouldn't believe. Like, it was amazing. And and what you guys did in that temperature and your resilience, it just reminded me of like that mindset of Rocky. Just keep going and keep going. And I'm just in awe of you guys. I look up to your country. I think you're amazing. And you literally motivated. You motivated more than just our country. You motivated, as you said, Canada, Mexico, and other countries. And your flags were here and there. And it was actually pretty sure I did see quite a few of them at Wellington as well, in 2022. So Canada is, you guys lead the way a lot in a lot of things, and your government, it seems there's a lot of similarities between our ex-leader, I should say, and your current leader. So I definitely feel like you probably have it worse.
Oh yeah.
In some ways at the moment.
So. You have to give yourself a little bit of credit, Clark. You guys did go through a cyclone down there.
Oh yeah. I mean, we did it. We had your motivation and we took charge, but that's sometimes you just need that push. And the push in the past, the previous protests I've attended, they kind of fizzled out after day one. But I think the 10th of February 2022, when they said hold the line, even I was even, I'm pretty resilient, but I was thinking about getting tired and I wanted to give up. But I'm pretty sure they were motivated by the Canadians. They were under a lot of pressure, and the police were trying to break the lines, and someone just said hold the line. They were using mottos and inspiration from what you had done. They thought, we're not going to give up now because of Canada, they're doing this. They didn't say that, but you could tell that, you know, the motivation was they can do it, we can do it. And it was that mindset under pressure, tired, I suppose, like Rocky. I know he's a US, but that mindset of Rocky, just keep going. And in Canadians, they keep going. They're in cold temperatures, parked up in the ice, getting treated like this. We thought we had it hard. It's not that hard. So you guys motivated us. You'd been near conquered it, and it was our job. You know, so we did. You use your mindset. You helped us a lot. It was amazing, and we do take credit for, you know, helping do our part in the end. But you know, we look up to you. Yeah. If it wasn't for you, I don't think it would have happened. That's all I'm saying.
No, and you know, someone had to start. Like, someone always has to be the first one. And like, I can say too, like, it wouldn't have been me. I was just waiting for something like that to happen. Like, like I said, I hadn't even heard of this. I wasn't like in on it, or, you know, one of the guys that had like the chat room thing going on or whatever. I just heard about it, and the story they were spinning just seemed like, I mean, I've grown up in Canada. I've lived here my entire life. I'm 40 now, so like, you know, 4 decades of a place. I've run into like skinheads, but that was like when I was a teenager, and then that kind of just went away. Like, they weren't really welcome, even at the like punk shows or whatever we go to. And I was like, you know, metalhead punk kid. So even in those societies, like, it wasn't accepted. There's like, it's just not a thing. Like, people aren't just Nazis in like the free world. You know what I mean? Like, it's, I don't know, maybe there's some dudes down south in the States or something, but that doesn't even make up like a majority of anything for them either. And they're the ones that everyone in the world would typically point their finger at, right? For rednecks or whatever. So it's just not a thing. And then the truckers are going there. So they're probably not Nazis. So something else is going on. So what, can I ask you, Clark, what was the type of propaganda? Like, what were they saying about the truckers? Or was it just like zero, like no coverage?
So the Canadian truckers, there wasn't, from my memory, too much online. Trika, was there much online? There wasn't much on TV in New Zealand about it. There was brief snippets of it that I can remember, but most of it, as you know, is all on social media. So on social media, there was a lot of, I was on pages where they were sharing it with me, so it was easy to find. But on TV,
no,
there was
sorry,
a little bit, so
my bad.
Not too much.
No, I meant with your guys' convoy. Like, how did you end up hearing about the convoy? Like, were they already there and then it became a thing, or like, did they spin a story? So maybe it was a little different in Canada, but like the line, you could see the convoy from space, legit.
Yeah.
Like, it was that long,
Wow.
and I saw it at night, and it was incredible. So for yours, like, how did they hide that you guys were having a convoy from you?
So they didn't cover much of it on the media, as far as I know, and I don't think it was. They thought it was going to be like what Canada was doing, so they probably thought it was just going to be a big Kumbaya drive from point A, top of the country, and the bottom of the country to a middle point, which is Wellington, our capital. When they didn't demonize too much at that stage, because it was mostly fun. They saw it as people, you know, uniting, waving flags, and so it was wasn't too bad. There was a lot of support. So the locals, it was going through every town, and it was kind of such a big deal being a smaller country than Canada that it was easy that they were coming down the main arterial routes, the highways. So each town, they'll trick people out there just waving. Some media outlets were filming it, but it was all on social media. So at that stage, they weren't demonized. At that stage, they were sort of seen as rock stars because they were in convoys and everyone was all happy. It wasn't until they got to Palmerston North, where I live, and there was a place where they stayed, they started seeing it as a bit more of a threat, where there was a place, private land, where they didn't want to, there was all these vehicles staying on this land, and that's when they sort of brought helicopters, and I can get you in contact with the person who actually was looking after that land. So there all this the police and that started seeing it as a bit of a threat because all these people are now congregating on this area, which next step will be Wellington. The demonisation did start pretty much once they got to Wellington. When they got through the barricades and everything else, they thought something might happen. They then started demonising us as what you just said before. You talked about Raven, about the ultra nationalists or skinheads or these sort of people, ultra right wing.
Anti-science.
They painted us in a certain image, so then media also used camera angles. So you will definitely, Raven will be understand this. When you film something, you can sometimes change angles, and it can change the way things were done. And they were using tree branches to on the Parliament they were filming, and they were sort of trying to say that the protesters started some of this pushing, and it makes it look worse if you're the aggressor rather than defender. So they were doing demonisation and tactics on News Hub, TV1, TV3, using certain angles of long lens cameras, and they were trying to do that sort of stuff. So having people like yourself and me down there in both countries respectively helped showcase that it wasn't quite what the media was painting. So they were really on that 10th, 9th and 10th of February, demonising us from there on. But the convoy, they didn't make fun of the Canadian protesters or the New Zealanders during the convoy stage. It was until they got to Wellington that they wanted to, because the convoy itself was quite fun. All they said is there could be some delays because there's 55 to 80k long traffic lines of cars coming through a certain town. And most people, I'd say 75 to 80%, were okay with that. They thought it's within their right to do that. So the convoy itself, and the Canadians were not rubbish. People were impressed with the Canadians. Like, no one, because how can you rubbish what was happening in Canada when they thought, what's ever happening in your country? They're not really fully up to even probably people who are pro-COVID, pro-vaccine, or not into protesting probably thought it's within their right to do that. So there was not much about being negative about the truckers or our convoy until it got to Wellington, and that's when the spin doctors came out en masse. And having anyone with a camera down there, particularly someone like yourself who's doing it for a hobby, and drones, all that information that would have, because cameras don't lie, as far as in terms of they can manipulate certain things, but if we were there I was there to showcase how it actually went down, and the police started it. In most of the situations they started it, and that's what the media didn't show. They were saying that we were the ones that were doing this, protesters, we were the ones doing that, when in reality it was my video clip that got out in Canada. I think it got viral, one of my clips I filmed. They didn't like that. They even specifically mentioned international, so someone shared it to a page, and it was a Canadian Spiritual Awakening page. I didn't share it, but the police commissioner of New Zealand, so our highest commissioner, Andrew Costa, he said something on the lines where they were quite embarrassed and they really didn't want it getting out. Of course, social media, it can get out, and I can share it with one of you, and you might get a few thousand views. Getting it out, some of the clips that exposed what the police were doing really showcased what they, how they started it, and that was quite embarrassing because it gave them a negative image online, and they were really big on image because they wanted to be seen as the ones that didn't start it, and we are here, they started it, and the media was using a couple of angles to hide some of the police, and it looked like the protesters were starting things. When my one, I got boots on the ground involved in it, so I was actually actively pushing and filming. But I never got aggressive, so I wanted to keep it, I wanted to be neutral to an extent, where I'm just filming mainly. That was my main job, is to film. So the police were very embarrassed that it got out internationally, and particularly a place like Canada. They were very embarrassed. So thank you guys for sharing that.
So you were just using yourself on selfie stick, right? That's what your main, because your videos describe how you made those videos. They're incredible. And then let's talk about oh, there's my echo. Okay, I hear it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep.
Okay. The Gary Jules one, the Mad World.
So what was it?
Yeah, go ahead and tell us about the. Oh, I keep hearing an echo.
So I thought I like to keep things simple. So I did. I did have access to a lens camera, but I wanted to keep it simple, because when you're in the middle of a situation like a political protest, when there was 300 cops plus on that day, on the 10th of February, the last thing I wanted to worry about was taking photos and changing lenses and that. So I kept it very simple. I just took 3 cameras, but only ever used one, so I had 2 backups. I thought of myself as, this is like a battle, in a sense where I needed to have something simple. So the GoPro action camera is all I took, and I just took 1 camera, spare batteries. I used a stick, and I know that and I usually film on my motorbike, so I knew that whatever works on a motorbike will be good in that political protest in regards to stabilization, keeping it simple, because when you're under enough pressure, the chances of getting arrested, cameras broken, all these things go through your head. A lot of 100 scenarios. You don't know if it's going to last 2 days, or you don't know any of these things. So I took a simple camera on a stick, because a lot of people are taller than me, and I kept it simple. A drone would have been excellent, so having access to Raven would have been amazing. But being a parliament, I think they might have equipment which could you might know these jammers, so I think they place like a government department, like Parliament, Wellington. They might be able to drop the drone down. So having access to a drone, my friend had a drone, but I just think that would have been too complicated. They might have got access to it. I kept it very simple. I just took the most simple camera I could take, and that was the action camera. And it was designed for extreme water combat. The special lens on it, there wasn't much shaking left and right. And when there's a lot of pushing and arrests happening, that's important. I do admire people who did live streams down there, because they were the ones that got the message out instantly. My ones I put up the next day. And I actually lost one of my SD cards for a bit, but then my partner found it. So the one that went viral in Canada is the one that I actually had lost the SD card for 3 days. But she found it, and that's the one that, with all the pushing on it, that was on the 10th of February. So that's, in the context, that's the biggest event with police presence in 41 years. 41 years ago, there was something else that was happening, completely different. And that actually had more police in this current protest. Probably on the last day, which I wasn't there, that was probably the equivalent. So it took nearly 2 generations before that amount of cops were seen again in New Zealand in one place. But taking a camera, a sports camera, would be a good backup for someone like Raven too. If he was filming, he might have one of those there in case something happens. He might have his good cameras. I'm sure maybe, and then this is something where. Yeah, I relied on that. I thought it was like a pistol. It was simple. It didn't have no zoom in it, but I had to be up close, so I had to be in the moment. And that kind of caught in my eyes the energy around me, rather than being from a distance and manipulating a shot. I was there. I was actively in there. I knew what it was like to be there. I wanted people to feel that the good parts of it and the serious parts, which was the pushing, the aggression, was captured, and sort of from my perspective. But then there's people that are taller than me, so I had to have a stick and put it up high. So I kept it very simple. Cell phones can get damaged. They're not as robust as these action cameras, so they're designed for this sort of stuff. They're designed to be. So I had 2 spares in case anything happened, in case they broke one. My biggest fear was they were taking SD cards off in New Zealand. I don't know about Canada, but they'd get someone's cell phone, and they were taking SD cards or deleting images and giving the phone back, or destroying it, because they're trying to hide things. So that was happening in New Zealand. I heard of that, but
yeah.
Maybe I was too wired on too much coffee. I was used to putting the camera in their face, but I'd be fast with it, so there's no chance they were going to get it off me. I was pretty wired at the time, pretty angry, but also passionate about a cause that I really supported, because I'd been affected by it, and I knew the importance of getting videos out. I didn't realize that Canada would be interested in it. I just thought locally, maybe Australia. I had no idea that Canada would be inspired by any of these things, because you're the ones that inspired us. So I found that very humbling and very nice to know that you guys were impressed that other countries were following.
Well, yeah.
On that note there, Clark, my new favorite one is the Leonard Cohen one. You Want It Darker song?
Yeah, so that song's I actually had put that one up that week it happened. So that's been up for at least 2 years. I put it up again. So I use songs because sometimes songs, we all have a favorite song, and using songs as brings out emotion. So you can rather than hearing screaming and everything else, using a song can change the context of it and make it more poetic, and it also makes it more special. In this case, this song actually, it was about the human struggle, and it was a good song. It's one of his last, if not his last song before he passed away. So Leonard Cohen has a unique voice, but I felt that video and that song went together. That was interesting because that day, that 2 or 3 hours after that video clip is when the police gave up. So that shows people that were getting squashed. They were that video clip. Something else I'll tell you about that one. That was probably the only time I felt I was going to get crushed. So only for a split second in that video clip, I'm getting moving forward and backwards, and that's like being in a mosh pit. Raven might want to experience something like that. I've never been in a mosh pit, but I've heard stories and being in a rip, not being in a rip, but that clip for about 1 or 2 seconds, I was actually thought I was going to get crushed, or felt that. So I could feel the people's pain who were smaller than me that were actually fearing, because the people were pushing, the police were pushing, and there's people in the middle who were just caught in the middle. So that clip that you just mentioned, it's funny you said that. That was the one time I felt, I suppose, danger in terms of this, only for a brief second. I didn't know if I was going to get crushed, but I managed to get myself out. So other times there was pushing and people might have got near crushing, but that was my personal experience in that video clip. I nearly felt that, and it was quite scary. It was and I could just imagine what someone else might be feeling if they were doing that for a minute in a mosh pit where people are really frenzied up, or if those police really wanted to push, or if there was even more people. So there was potential that someone could have got seriously hurt, and people did get hurt before I turned up. I was driving all the way there. I left later than I should have, so I would have potentially got some more clips. That's what motivated more people to go down. When the power of social media, when they police did their brutality, that was of dragging a woman that was naked, half naked, with dreadlocks, and a boy doing a press up on his head to arrest him, like things that were just completely unnecessary. That is what motivated more of the country to turn up. They realised what Canada had been dealing with, but then they were trying to do it in New Zealand. Then this brutality happened on that day, 10th of February, Thursday the 10th of February, 2:22. Once that happened, and I was on my way, I was about 30 minutes away, and I would have, I know if I was there, I would have got it. I just left 2 hours earlier. I thought I knew that day was going to be significant, because when the talk online about all the police were going to be there, I knew that was going to be a very important day. And that Leonard Cohen song at the time, I wanted to use something a song that not many people had heard. And his son motivated him to use that song before he died, to make a song. So he wanted him to push this song. So that's actually a man that's nearly dying making that song. So it's got a lot of soul to it, and it's about, he feels jaded and bitter. You can listen to that song, and it's kind of like, at that stage, people had lost their jobs, vaccine mandates were still in, you couldn't visit rest homes. There's a lot of places you couldn't go. I mean, there's simple things that you couldn't go to Subway. You couldn't go to a lot of places, and at that stage, people were scared and angry, and wanted to, and they were scared. Like, people were. In my life 2 years ago, that was a different place in New Zealand. It really was. It's only 2 years ago, but 2 years ago to the day, we couldn't go to all these places. You're now classed as an outcast. You might as well have been a criminal. And that song, for me, Leonard Cohen captured what people felt. You want it darker, and like, mentions the help that never came. Felt like there was not enough help coming. The help did turn up in the end, but at the time it felt like there was no help. But they did drop a lot of those things a few months later. But at that stage,
I'm going to jump in here really quickly, Clark, because I want to make sure I get Rave Dark or Tyler's perspective on. So what I'd like you to do, if you could, Raven, describe the video, the Mad World one, the one that inspired you 2 years ago, because that you were talking about Clark's video, the Mad World one, and so I would really like to hear from your perspective what you remember seeing. I know, I think I resent it to you, and then kind of describe the one, because we don't have Jason, the co-host, here tonight. He was going to actually show the videos, and then we could kind of go from there. But if you could just go ahead and tell the story of how just watching Clark's video, how it inspired you to make your own here on your YouTube channel, please.
Yeah, for sure. I saw your video, and it had a vibe. You know, the song itself, it's always been one of my favorites. It's and it really does speak to.
Quick question: do you have are you playing a computer beside you? You might have to turn YouTube off of your other. Do you have like a couple of different? Am I echoing now too? Oh, man, this is brutal. Because I'm getting an echo from you. So I'm just wondering if you've got another electronic device.
No, nothing else is running. Just the phone.
Or maybe if you want to. Stephanie, hang on.
Would another cell phone interrupt with it? It might be my partner's cell phone.
Is that better now? Nope, we're still getting an echo.
How am I doing?
Still, do you have earphones? I hate to do this. Hang on, let me see. Let's at least exit there. Maybe, Raven, if you leave and then come back, because it solved that problem a few minutes ago, and then we'll continue exactly where you left off. Is that? Oh no, it's still echoing a bit. And I can only mute myself. So. Sorry about this, chat. Apologize. Yes, Stephanie, it's not just you. Hang on, can you try one other thing? So maybe if, okay, so you know what? I'll just do that. Okay, so I muted you, Clark, and so now it's taken care of. So as soon as Raven is back in the background there, I'll get him back up. And so just as long as you're muted when he's speaking, then I think it'll solve that problem, because yeah, I'm not hearing it right now. So it's just a matter of him coming back. But no, that's fascinating. I remember them, you know, like Trudeau called us the small fringe minority, and we've taken that, we've created a whole logo with it. So I'm wondering if there's something in New Zealand, because I know they called you the River of Filth. That was what Jacinda famously called you guys. So is there anything like that? Do you guys proudly wear it like a badge of honor now, River of Filth? I know there's a movie that's come out called, or is it the River of Freedom, I think is what the movie is called. Oh, yeah.
Yep, so they called us many names, but the one thing that I'm proud of when I was down there was capturing all the walk around videos. So I've got quite a few of those. I was only there for a total of 5 days. And I did day trips, and that shows how clean it was. So it's kind of like, it makes me laugh when they said that, because I've got all these clean, pristine walk-arounds off that place. And they were building toilets. They had toilet facilities. They even tried to build a proper running toilet at one stage, not just a portaloo. And they also had a shower system that they were trying to take out. So that was actually quite hygienic down there. So that didn't last too long. And when it did rain on the Parliament, they did put hay down, but they were very clean. But that would smell after a while. So they had a whole team of people that would go there and clean up and sanitize things and get rubbish, sewage, vehicles. It made me laugh, because it was they could say that, but they didn't last too long in my eyes, because it was my video clips that I've still got to this day showcase how clean it was down there. So that one was like, I don't feel like that's even a problem now. At the time, it did sort of grind my gears, but when I put video clips up, people were like, "Whoa, that's clean." I said, one of them is a 12-minute video. I said, try and find any rubbish while I'm walking. Not one piece of rubbish can be seen on the ground in that 12 minutes.
Okay, I'm going to jump in here right now. So what we figured, as soon as you left, it was still echoing. So So when I mute Clark, there's no more echoes. So Raven, do you want to go ahead and tell your story?
Okay, I just got to chime in on the cleaning things up. That seemed to be a universal amongst all of the, like, as soon as I got to the convoy and started chatting with everyone, that was like the thing everyone was hammering, like peaceful, clean up, be respectful, right? And they did it maximum. Like, while the police line was moving forward on the last days there in Ottawa, the rest of the convoy people, like, they were shoveling, like, just in front of the cops, like trying to get the street clean and mint for when the cops came along. Like, literally shoveled the street of snow to get trampled out of the city, right? So I mean, the level of respect was huge there. It's like you said, try and find some trash. Like, I dare you. No one could do it, because if they could, the news would be pinging onto those things so hard. You know what I mean? Absolutely. The zero violence policy, that was universal. You couldn't talk to someone in the convoy who wasn't, like, right on top of that, like, hey, calm, man. If we have to just stand there and get beat on until we have to go, then that's how it's got to be. But they're going to see that that's how it went down. Like, this moment's recorded in history the way it really happens, and it will be recorded, even if everyone lies about it, the legacy media or whatever, or the government. But still, you can't find the footage of the messy place. You know what I mean? So now, sorry for the tangent, but to go back to the Mad World, like, the songs, it's a banger.
The Mad
I don't
World
care.
video, and you're kind of frozen up.
Oh, sorry. Am I back?
There you go.
It's all
Yeah,
right.
we can see you.
I got an eye
You're
on my
back, but
bars
it's a
here.
little delayed.
Okay. Well, okay. So the Mad World
Okay,
video.
go ahead.
Mad World, I love the tune. Like I've said, it's a banger. And when I saw your video, that line, the way the line of the police and the people flowed, and even you getting kind of pushed around with it, it had this, like, you could feel the ebb and flow of the battle. Like, it was right in the song, and it just kind of caught me. It was one of those, like, I call them fuzzy brain artist moments. It's just a moment of inspiration, and you get a total shot of, like, dopamine and all that stuff. So I was right into it, and I love the way that you did it. And I wanted to tip my hat to what you did, but not, like, we all do it our own style, right? And by the time we had gotten through, like, you shot that video, I saw it at somewhere, I think, in week 2 or week 3 of our convoy, like right at the beginning of week 3. And then, of course, after we got pushed out, that was the first video I made. I felt like that was the one that had to be. And there were so many similarities to what I had seen there. The same police line. In some cases, they had shields, and others not. But it was still kind of that ebb and flow. Like, in Canada, no one really pushed back. I can say that. Like, all the footage that I see, people stand and they won't move, but they wouldn't push back. Like, there wasn't that same kind of fight in it. So I just kind of, like, I kept seeing scenes that reminded me of the lyrics in the song, right? Like, what is it? Good morning, teacher. Tell me what's my lesson, or whatever. And I'm looking at a guy with a fully automatic weapon in front of me. I'm like, I don't know what justified this. And I never really thought that I'd be in a situation where I was on the other side of a line where the cops and the army guys had, like, fully automatic weapons that they could deploy. Now, I don't blame any service personnel at all for anything that went down. It was crazy. It was unprecedented. And quite frankly, like, you never know, man. Someone really could have been insane enough that there was actually a bomb in a truck. Like, our police and our service personnel that way, they'd be idiots not to expect or, like, have a contingency for that. the fact that they didn't use those weapons, I think, speaks to how much not even the cops really wanted anything to do with it. Like, the vibe I got from them when I was on the ground was they were as sad as we were that this was happening. It was almost like, you could even say a touch worse, because they were the ones being made to do it, despite whatever their personal beliefs on our Constitution and like our Bill of Rights and all that stuff is. They had to do something like that because we were still at the time, remember, that people were losing their jobs over the jab, right? So what was to stop them from, you know, being dishonorably discharged or something over something like this? Like, that's a pretty serious deal in your life. So I don't think they really wanted to, but they had to, right? And I think the song also speaks to that, like, for them in a little way. But yeah, like, just the way the lyrics of the song hit with everything going on, and the little scene where the vehicle with the sonic weaponry rolls up and it's talking about like what you can hear and all that kind of stuff. I just felt like the lyrics really, really kind of flowed with it too. So that's why I chose the song.
Well, that, and you were inspired, of course.
Oh yeah,
And it is a good
absolutely.
song.
Like,
I mean, who hasn't watched Donnie Darko? I don't know, maybe some people haven't, but
you should if you haven't.
Do you have any other projects on the go right now, Raven?
So
are you thinking about getting back into it, or?
Yes, it's been difficult for me to figure out exactly how to frame the whole thing, and I've had a bit of like turmoil in my personal life since kind of not following it as much. I felt like I had to step back and kind of get my head back together. I felt pretty betrayed by our country. I always thought that our laws were so absolute, you know, like they like if someone tried to screw around, like the prime minister, even, that there would be some kind of built-in thing to the system to make sure that couldn't happen. Like someone else would be able to step forward and be like, whoa, 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 that is not abiding the laws that we have. Because like no one's above the law. You know, when you're a politician, those laws should be even more, because you're presenting the system that this law is a part of. You know what I mean? Like, it should be seen as like serious bad goods to be breaking those type of laws as a politician, because like there's no question, you should know better. You should know better than this.
100%. How many ethics violations does Trudeau have now? Like 30?
Well, and look at what's going on in the news now. Like the news has taken a total turn on that guy because it's gone to. I think really that they've kind of seen the writing on the wall, so to speak. A lot of more people are like, they're jumping off of the the liberal wagon and jumping onto the conservative. And people who aren't normally conservatives, like I counted myself more as a liberal when this all started.
Yeah,
but that was back when the liberals, like, they they ran the country okay. It wasn't like the situation we find ourselves in now, where there's tent cities where there weren't before. And these aren't just like fentanyl addicts or whatever. It's people like me too. Like I'm a carpenter, right? So I make a middle class wage, but I can't afford to own my own home. There's no way. Like, just no way right now. $1 million, 800,000. What are you talking about?
Clark, if you want to jump in anytime, just raise your hand and I'll unmute you. Okay.
So yeah, I felt like really betrayed there, right? So
yeah.
Sorry, I'm off on a tangent.
No, that's interesting. You said about the houses being 800,000, because they're around that mark now to $1 million, and they're not worth that. The houses have gone right up now. Gen Z and people now just can't afford houses. It's gone too expensive. We have our own crisis over here now. Like New Zealand 10 years ago, there was not much homelessness. I mean, you could say that every country's always had some sort of homelessness, but now in New Zealand, the current trend is, and people even say it's a running joke, that hotel, if you were to own a motel, then that basically 80% of those people in there, if not all sometimes, are like government paid people that are on like a benefit. I don't know what your system is over in Canada, but welfare. So go back 10 years ago, you might have been struggling to fill up your hotel, but now you've got a guaranteed source of income because these are housing crisis. Not enough houses are being built, and there's people on the streets. Living in their cars is very, very common now in New Zealand. Getting emergency housing is, that's kind of what's happened now. A lot of people that we used to have enough houses, and now we don't. We at one stage led the world in social housing, and we were doing really well, but that's long gone. We're now just saying our houses getting out of, even the ones that are available are $1 million, 800,000 in Palmerston North. Houses were going up in 2022, I think it was $1,000 per day. That's $300,000 in a year. For and the quality of the house wasn't increasing. It was just the fact that the price was going up over $1,000 per day. There's even an article in our local paper. So houses are, in Palmerston North over 800,000. I think Auckland's now sitting on $1 million, which is our biggest city in the country. And Wellington is a very expensive city as well. So you're talking about something that's real here. Housing is a big issue, and I think our government in the past put up all these false promises. Going to build 50 to 100,000 houses. That should have been done by 2017 to 2022, and they only built not even 1/10 of that, not even 1/50th. Probably I think 500, 1,000 houses, not even that. So it's real problems. I see similarities from Canada and New Zealand, from poor leadership. Just wanted to say that. Yeah.
Sorry, my brother lives upstairs and he just got a puppy and it's been howling. So that's why I muted myself. And that's why I have to, so that I don't echo. Okay, yay, we're back in. So is there anything else that you wanted to add, Raven?
No, that's pretty much the inspiration. Sorry?
Oh, I was just going to say it's the same deal here in Canada. Yeah, we've got a carbon tax that's impoverishing everybody. And April 1st, it's supposed to go up another 23%. So that's,
With all of this happening, and especially with the Liberals who have classically had the youth vote, there's kind of a saying, I don't know if it's a worldwide one, but we say it a lot up here, and especially between entrepreneurs. Liberal in your 20s, conservative in your 30s, right? Because it's like you get through your 20s with all your love and all your feelings and all that stuff. And then when you're 30, you're like, oh, no one cares, eh? We're all just out here trying to figure it out and make money. And well, the conservatives seem to have a plan to help us get stabilized so that Gen Z, who everybody's always like, oh, you lazy Gen Z kids, you're always on your phone. There's lots of hard workers. I mean, there's an apprentice guy that hangs around where he's like a high school kid I can't remember what the program is. What is it? Co-op, right? And the kid's a go-getter. He's great. You can send him to do anything and he gets right into it. He's eager to learn. He wants to work hard. He wants a future. Like, it's not because they're lazy. They don't see a future with the current government in place. So now at this point, I believe we've gotten to a point where the populace as a whole is now ready to hear the message. They're ready for the story now. And really, this whole story is really about Justin Trudeau. It really kind of boils right down to him, I think, at the end of the day. He started out and he was like Canada's sweetheart. You know what I mean? Like, he was all over. He was a good looking dude. The girls were swooning over him and all that stuff. And he seemed like this young dude who kind of got it, like he got that people were struggling and we all want a better life. And we believe gay people should be able to get married and all that kind of stuff, right? For the most part, everybody's on board with that. They're like, you live your life, I'm gonna live mine over here. We're good, right? And so he was kind of a hero that way. But after so long of not succeeding, he's put everyone in one heck of a position. And now if we continue this, it only gets worse from here financially for everyone. Like, we're already at the point where everybody has to work so much that you either can't, like, it's almost silly to buy a house because you've got to work so much you never see the place, or you can't afford to have one in the first place. So yeah, to answer the question on whether I'm getting back into it, I think the way that I want to frame the entire story, and like even the chapters about James Top that we can get into later and all that, the veterans, the camps, everybody's kind of part of the story. And I really think the whole thing kind of revolves around him. Like, here's for the Star Wars fans, a way to think about this. Like, in the same way that episodes 1 through 6 of Star Wars are really the main character's Vader. You know, like, there's all these other heroes that pop up, like Luke and Han and all that. But like, really, end of day, it's the story of Anakin and how he became Darth Vader, and then at the last minute turned around, right? So the story's about the bad guy. In this case, the story's kind of about the villain. Like, dude could have been the GOAT. Came in, legalized the wacky tobacco. He was cool with a bunch of stuff. And then all of a sudden, it became very painfully obvious that he's like a turtle on a post. No one knows how he got there. He couldn't have got there himself. He has no business being there. And it's just kind of odd to find one in that position. Mm-hmm. I don't know what else to say. So I think in the end, yeah, like, people are really ready to hear this, the full account of what happened. And like, right from before, all the way through COVID, all the way to now, you know, like, that's really the full story. I think you have to go all the way back. Yeah, exactly. 100%. It's definitely a roller coaster of a story.
Okay, so just so that everybody, oh yeah, 1 second, Clark. Just so that everybody knows, when I finish the live stream in a little bit here, I will be pinning Rave Dark Documentaries YouTube channel, and just look for what is it called, Mad World Canada Convoy or something like that. But, or I can actually just link the actual video. You can take a look. And then here, Clark, I will unmute you, but I have a question for you. If you could answer it, if you've got a YouTube channel, I'd like to do the same. So right now, I'll just.
Yeah. So I do have a YouTube channel that I've just put random videos on, and a few other protest ones. I do have most of my videos on Dropbox, so I'm happy to link you the Dropbox if you want, or I can link you the channel later on. So I haven't put all of my video clips up, but my Dropbox has got hundreds of that one from Wellington. My question is to Raven. So in Canada, are you you don't use your real name handle? Is it because are you still getting repercussions from the Canadian protest 2 years ago? Is there still like people that are making your life difficult? Like, I mean, my friends use handles and that, but I was just wondering if there's like, as the Canadian government making it really difficult for you? Like, is it for your safety, for your family, like your name, to use that name?
No. Up here, it's like it all got swept under the rug. You know, like, it's just we don't want to talk about it anymore, especially since the ethics violation came out. Like, because it's the Supreme Court, right, Rosie?
Yeah. Well,
yeah. Okay. So the Supreme Court ruled that the pushing everyone out, like the invoking the Emergencies Act to quell the convoy, was found to be illegal and unethical. Now, this is facts straight up from like high command in the country, right? Like, I mean, it's the Supreme Court or something, someone of that magnitude. Anyway, sorry, I don't have all the facts in front of me, but I think since that, they can't really come back. Now, I will say, for everyone who got out and didn't have troubles, I think we're all safe. Even the online trolls, like they don't really have much of anything. It's like, what are you holding on to? You're really like supporting everything we've seen, everything we hear in our House of Commons. Because like just listening to the Liberals, you know they're falling on their talking points and they're really falling on them hard. Like they'll get asked the same question 3 times and give almost verbatim the same answer back. Like there's no back and forth, right? So no, the people are okay. However, aren't the Coots border guys that got busted there, like they're still sitting in jail waiting for their day in court? You know, that's wrong. I don't care what side of this you're on. Everybody's supposed to have, there's supposed to be a due process, and that's how our country continues to function as a free place. And now they're I don't even think they've had their day in court or their hearing, and I think it's pretty foggy what they've even been charged with. So
yeah, 2 of them, no. So,
okay.
So yeah,
but even still, even if it's just
sorry, two
even
have
if it's
taken
one
a plea deal, and 2 are still they're still in remand, which is worse than jail. Like the one guy that just took a plea deal, he spent 74 days in solitary confinement, and it was on trumped up charges. So when it actually came down to them taking the plea here, like what they were locked up for, just so you know, Clark, these are guys that were in Alberta, part of the Coots blockade, which was at the south border with the States. Because while most of the group was out in Ottawa, there was a group here. I'm just a few hours north of where it actually happened, down at the Coots blockade. So yeah, there were Canadians, truckers that were holding the line there. And 4 of them got charged with conspiracy to murder police officers. So they've spent the last 2 years in remand jail. So they can't even go outside. They can't see their family. The one guy's lactose, or no, he's a celiac, but they wouldn't adjust his diet. One guy's like was too tall for his bed, so for like 2 years he slept with his like feet up on the baseboard. Or so anyway, so 2 guys have taken a plea deal now. So it went from oops, sorry. I think I got too passionate. Yeah, it's the censorship here. So, you know, we're always fighting it. Yep, kind of bash us down. Yeah, 2 of the guys. So all 4 of them were charged with conspiracy to murder police officers. So what the 2 that were just released, they dropped those charges completely. So what they pled guilty to was unsafe storage of a firearm. You know, and that was the whole reason why Trudeau invoked the Emergencies Act to begin with, because he thought this was going to be a big uprising and it was going to be a J6 event and we were going to take over the government, which was never our intention. For us, it was just end the mandates and bring Canadians together. So now that the invocation of the Emergencies Act has been deemed illegal, now 2 of them were offered lesser plea deals, which they've taken, and 2 guys there, I think their court date is, it either was recently or I need to look it up because I know it's at the end of this month. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So the house of cards is falling down all around. And even people that might not agree with the convoy, they are feeling the pinch because groceries are unbelievably expensive, like housing, rent, everything has like doubled in 8 years. So people are feeling the pinch, and yeah, the carbon tax that's supposed to make the weather gooder, you know, is just there's so much corruption and so many people are waking up. So that's kind of where we are right now. So if you want to jump in, Clark, yeah, okay, I'll unmute you.
Yep. So it's interesting you said that all the food and that's doubling. After the Wellington protest about the mandates and all that, I ended up volunteering for a company that does food rescue, and I noticed an increase in the line that people we have a free food place in Palmerston North. But I'm actually now their truck driver, so this trucker convoy. You know, went to that convoy 2022, and now I'm a paid truck driver, only around town, not a big truck, but I have seen an increase in nearly double, not quite double, but the numbers. And food has gone astronomical in New Zealand. So I definitely understand when you see that, you know, the people that may not have even been on board with us with convoy, they are now feeling the repercussions of, you know, the living crisis or everything else, be it to do with the government. You know, it's getting real. Like, the world's getting harder. Some of them are even vax injured, and they're now regretting certain things that they've done. We just had an MP, the Greens Party MP, who was pushing the mandate. So, I mean, I'm pro-choice, but someone that was pushing an agenda, he's just passed away this week in New Zealand. So one of the political parties in New Zealand just had one of our MPs who only just joined a week earlier, 6 days. He got sworn in on his maiden speech in Parliament. He just died 6 days later. That doesn't happen often, by the way. Last time that happened was 2013. So, I mean, people that even supported the narrative, you know, may not have even supported us. You know, they're feeling it in their communities too. These vax injured people, even the increase of all the prices of all the food, life's getting harder, and some of these people, you know, they're probably feeling like the government that they supported, they were supposed to be there for them, and they were good citizens and did the right thing and stayed at home to save lives and deal with the narrative. They're feeling the pinch also. Their life's no better than ours for doing what they thought was right, and they've been let down too. So, you know, but our prices increased too. Our food has nearly doubled in New Zealand. So I kind of understand where Raven and yourself, where you're coming from. You know, like, it feels like we're just like a shadow of what you are. We're like, you know, a mirror image. You know, housing.
Isn't that interesting? Isn't that just like an interesting little tidbit? We are so similar. I noticed so many parallels between the way your government acted and ours. It's like even right down to the talking points. So when I was interviewing people at the convoy, you know, there were a few guys that were they were pretty extreme with the conspiracy. Now, don't get me wrong. Before I say this, I'm a huge conspiracy guy. But the way that I see it, like, you know, there's some that are like kind of obvious, and I don't mean to offend anybody here because I'm up for open thought all the time in any discussion. But like, to me, man, the Earth's round, bro. The moon landing, chances are it happened. It's like the evidence does kind of show that it happened. You'd have to go back pretty far. Like, if the moon landing didn't happen, then that means that Russia and America are both in on the conspiracy, right? Because Russia watched America do it and begrudgingly congratulated them in Moscow news. Like, that was the thing, right? So unless that comes from then. But now today, so just to focus on this, like, the WEF is a thing. There really is a group of like super rich, super powerful, mega influential people who sit at the top of this pile, and they go to Davos and they talk about ways to fix the world from all of us poor little, the dirty commoners, right? How do we save them from themselves? And it's hard to deny, you know, like, I'd run into a guy and he was like, oh, that WEF, and just start cussing a blue streak. And I'm like, oh, okay, bro. Hey, I'm on board with you, whatever you say. But now I feel like it's getting hard to deny. It really is, like, that there isn't some connection amongst some countries who in the news seem to have representatives that are in the active government who also go and attend these symposiums or whatever you're going to call it. Like, they really are going there and they really are talking with these people. So like, it's not a conspiracy. Like, it's actually happening. You know what I mean? So is that why we are getting such a similarity in the way that our governments act and the type of propaganda they're putting out on the people?
Well, we already know that because Trudeau and Ardern, they were both part of the Young Global Leaders group, right? So.
Yeah, but arguably Polyev at one time, Pierre Polyev, and who I'd like to, if this guy is who he says he is, you know, I want to give him a shot. And if anybody is going to call me a fanboy or whatever, this is how I really feel about him. Just, bro, can you just please be honest and be the dude you say you are? Because, like, you know, both of our countries are hurting right now for homes and for the youth. The youth have no hope. Someone needs to bring that back. And if it's that guy and it's his plan, awesome. Just be the guy you say you are. You know what I mean, dude? But even he was a member of the WEF at a time.
Well, I know he was photographed with a couple of them. But Clark, just so you know, he's the leader of the official opposition here in Canada. So he's polling at 46% right now. I think Trudeau he's polling at like 26%. So he's it's looking to be like, you know, as long as, because now here in Canada, Trudeau and the leader of the NDP party, they're discussing ways of improving our electoral system. So so we'll see how it goes here. But our election here is not until 2015. So that's kind of where we're at right now. But yep. All right, 2 seconds. Go ahead.
So one I didn't know, you said something about your election. Is it 225? Is that what you just said? Or you said your election? Okay. One thing that I noticed about Trudeau and Jacinda Ardern that I didn't get with any other our current prime ministers or anyone around the world, they seemed to have this really well spoken. They were real charismatic, and I suppose that sometimes can be a trait of something being quite deceitful. And well, they were really, really well spoken, and they won everyone over. Like Jacinda Ardern said, "Hello, team of 5 million," and she made you feel like she was a long lost friend. And Trudeau, don't know about now. I don't really follow him too much, but I do remember him being young, looking good, and quite well spoken, and it seemed like a breath of fresh air. And I think the image, they seem very similar, like just I'd almost say brother and sister. They seem really friendly, charismatic, good to speak to, said the right things. But I do feel behind that they were con people. They were, like, my impression, just Jacinda Ardern did a lot of things that she didn't, said a lot of things she didn't actually do. And Trudeau obviously was well spoken and got in, I think, because maybe his contacts with his father. I did a little bit of research, and his father was an important person. But I think they rose to ranks because they were possibly puppets, but possibly they were groomed to be in that position because they were well spoken and everything else. But that's one thing that I noticed that our current prime ministers, these our opposition party who's in charge now, no one is as charismatic as what she was. Even the leaders that took over, of Jacinda Ardern, when she left last year, they were not on her caliber. And then I'm getting the impression that Trudeau was like that, like overseas in New Zealand, he was seen as this guy, you know, athletic, really good speaker, but I don't see that shine there now with him as such. Jacinda Ardern's shine's gone a little bit. I'm seeing now his image, he got there, I think part of it was personality. Maybe it was a personality cult where they thought he was amazing because he was the best speaker. Someone may not be the best speaker, but could have more honest intentions. I feel that they were just really good salespeople, if that makes sense. Like, they were so good. Like, why are they over the top nice? Why are they doing this? Is there something, you know? That's just that was my feeling, that those two were so close that no one else compared in my eyes. You know, Angela Merkel, these people are Trump. You know, people seem to see through him. I don't dislike Trump. Biden is not the same, but Trudeau and Jacinda Ardern were like really fresh-faced, energetic people, and they were really lovable in some ways. And I wonder if people fell for that, and that's why they.
Yep. Yeah, I did.
Well, it's like I said before, Justin had that advantage, right? And there were some things in Canada that weren't working out so well. Like, again, you know, like the gay rights thing. I don't think we had marriage for them at the time. And like, anybody is free to correct me here. I'm not really all that up to my knowledge on like the gay rights movement. I remember like the old school gays that were really fighting for like their ability just to be people. And then like it was kind of cool for a while, and then now it's different than it was before. But so those were the kinds of things he changed. He changed the social things that like it's almost like you could be like, okay, boomer, one of those. Like, yeah, I get it. That's how you guys used to do it. But come on, it ain't like that. You know, it ain't like that. It's just let it happen, right? Trudeau came in with a bunch of those, legalizing weed. So now high school students don't get a stupid charge because they were burning one behind the store or something silly, or behind a dumpster, and got rolled up on by the cops. And now they can't go to university because they were like, 14, 16 and smoking a J with the boys out back. Like, those were the kinds of things he fixed. And I was very supportive of that. Now, the thing that's a little different in Canada is Pierre Poilievre, this guy coming up, the current conservative leader, who, like Rosie said, is he's the official opposition right now. I think he's super charismatic. It's almost like watching a stand-up comedy routine between the two of them. Like, Trudeau will jump. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, okay. So getting back to like Trudeau used to be all the fresh, pretty face. Well, Poilievre, I think he's been working out for like 2 years, and he got contacts. So now Trudeau looks like a skeleton, like just washed up has been. And Pierre gets up and he wears these tight t-shirts and he goes on press conferences and he does all this, and he really knows how to put the reporters in their place. So, whereas Trudeau, he stumbles over his words. He does that a lot, and Poilievre is just like quick as a whip. So anyway, I just want to get back to kind of wrap this up a little bit. We're almost at the 1.5 hour mark. So we'll start with you, Raven. And if someone wants to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me. Ooh, that's a good question. Well, definitely through Rave Dark documentaries. Like, you can send me a message over my YouTube, or I can give Rosie better contact information for me. I just wasn't really ready for that one, but yeah, you can get me on there for sure.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Again, I'll pin the link to Rave Dark documentaries at the top of the comments when I finish this live stream. So, is there anything else, like any words of wisdom or anything you want to say to anyone watching? I know we had somebody in the chat about a half an hour ago, Megan from Australia. And of course, I know it'll be shared in New Zealand, and Clark, of course, is from New Zealand. So is there anything you want to say to the Kiwis while I've got you here? And Canadians, for that matter.
To everybody who really showed up for it, and especially everyone flying the maple leaf during that time. It inspired me so much. Like, my heart was full. I felt like, we did something like, in the world wars or whatever. Obviously not to the same extent, don't get me wrong, but it's like Canada does this. We're just like all quiet, like, no, it's okay, it's sorry. And then all of a sudden something goes down, and it's like our whole country gets together and we're like, oh no way. Right hook out of nowhere. And all of a sudden Canada's doing its thing, right? So like that, the world noticed, and they showed us so much honor and respect to fly our flag there. Like, wow, very cool. Thank you, guys. Keep fighting for the freedom and keep looking through the BS. Like, it's our responsibility now as the people of the country to be watching this. Like, obviously something happens in politics. Like, you're offered something. Trudeau seems like he was kind of offered the golden ticket and then fell out of favor with everybody. He kind of seems like the kid that nobody wanted at the party, so everyone gets him to take store runs and like do stupid stuff for money. You know what I mean? Like he seems like that kid on the world stage. So as long as we keep watching them, as long as they, like, the politicians know the people's eyes are on this, and we will like reject you. Not saying like we're going to get violent, but your career in politics will end if you can't deliver on what you say. And I know that's difficult because we're all so busy. We're running jobs. We're trying to run businesses. We're trying to adult here. And I know no one likes that, right? Like once you get to be an adult, no one wants to adult. But like it's still part of our life and it rules our life. Like even now with the housing crisis and all that, because we were negligent as a people and didn't step up and be like, okay, what is going on here? Like where's our money going and all this stuff? We now have to deal with our children maybe not being able to have a home and being like, we're looking at generational houses or whatever. That's a real change from what it was.
Yep.
So it really is. It falls to people.
Keep fighting the good fight. Right? And Clark, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Was there anything else, Raven? I apologize.
No, it's okay. I love the things we've talked about. And Clark, thanks for making that video, man. You really sent me on a journey that changed. Like it's funny how like a butterfly flaps its wings in like New Zealand, and all of a sudden Canada has a thing that goes on. It really is like that. The smallest, you never know when you're going to do something. And the worst part is you never usually get to meet the person face to face. Like I'm so grateful to Rosie for bringing us together here, because I never would have got the opportunity to thank you to your face and hear your perspective, right? Like, I think this is one of the coolest things ever. So keep doing the things. Just do the fucking things, man, because out there, you never know who's going to see it and be inspired, and it's going to change their life, and you will never know. But you give that gift and hope it pays forward.
All right. Absolutely. Okay, Clark, same question to you. I'll ask it first and then I'll unmute you. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, and I know that you're going to be, you'll be sending me the link to your YouTube channel and whatever other videos, and then I'll put them in the comments along with the Rave Dark documentaries link. So, so yeah, if anybody wants to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
Yep. So at this stage, I'll send you the links. I've got some. I'll send my Telegram and YouTube and links to some Facebook pages where some of my videos are. And I haven't put them all online at this stage. I've still got a few still that you haven't seen. So I'll send all the information to you, Rosie. But thank you, Raven and Rosie, for having me on here to talk about it. And at one stage when I was videoing, you feel like, why am I doing this? Is it going to be worthwhile? Even though it's an historical event and you don't know their significance, you think you're going to get a few views, but to know that Canada was behind us and people like, in New Zealand and Canada were the same. They were in the same mindset, and you guys were supporting us. And it's just amazing to know that around the world, these people are pretty much the same. We have been through the same struggles, similar struggles, and you've been there. And in fact, that Ravens, I motivated him. That was an honor, because I was getting a little bit of hate for some of my videos too, because they thought, why am I doing it? But you guys are giving me more context. I would still do what I was doing, but I feel now more than ever that it's even more important to do what I'm doing. And I think that there's a quote I heard, and I sometimes don't abide by it, but and it was in the minority of one, even if you're in a room of 100 and you're that one person, speak your mind. So I'm going to try and do that, because if I hold back on information, I'm going to feel I'm shortcutting myself. And I mean, if I can motivate someone like Raven, that means more than having 100 people in a room say, you know, we don't like what you're saying. If I can motivate someone who genuinely gets me, that means more to me. Impressing someone like, motivating someone like you, who can see that, you know, who can see the light, rather than other people who say I'm conforming because jabbed for a job, don't want to hear it, I'm not ready for it, don't speak the truth. If someone like you can, you know, or Canadians or anyone, you know, I might be motivating them. So, you know, sometimes in life I've held back, but since Wellington and more so talking to you, I realized the importance of filming, and also the potential backlash. I think the good has outweighed the backlash. People were getting threats. Some people got death threats. I never got that, but a little bit of hate. But from what you've just told me, I did the right thing. That's literally all I can say. And the comments I read on the Canadian page, there was a spiritual awakening page. I don't know that's where you saw it.
Mm-hmm.
But there was 7.8 thousand, nearly 8,000 comments from Canadians and overseas, but mostly Canadians, and they were supportive. And that was a time when people were down in my own country, were literally kicking me to the curb for a little bit. Still supporters, but I was getting more support in Canada for a few weeks than I was in my own country. That's the truth. And I risked, you know, your image, losing jobs, couldn't go to certain places. So what you guys did, and I find out 2 years later that Ravens watched my video. I only just found this out 2 weeks ago, by the way, Ravens. So I only found out 2 weeks ago that you'd watched my video and you had a channel. And I actually want to get links again from Rosie after this to have a look at them. So
Yeah.
actually, we'd love to follow you. It's actually amazing to actually finally, you know, to meet you after hearing about you for 2 weeks, but knowing that a couple of years ago I inspired you. I didn't know that my reach was that much. But long story short, I'm thankful for everyone that was part of that in Wellington. The atmosphere was amazing. Most of my best videos are actually the fun videos, because it was so fun down there at some stages. It was that there was no restrictions. Concerts got cancelled. We had fun. People united. Free food turned up. The Hare Krishnas turned up. Everyone, the church groups. There was no stigma. It was just amazing. And so much for all these right-wing people, and all these church groups got together. Different denominations, Sikh Indians, all these different people all turned up, and it was free food, good times, and united. And that's probably what you guys had in Canada too. I'm assuming that different denominations turned up and helped out.
I actually had the opportunity to interview some guys from the Sikh community, and they were there for the entire push through. Kuljit Singh was the man's name, and he had 3 other gents with him. So in order to get in, I had to have a press tag, and it said like the press was from America. I'm Canadian, but they said like it was an American press thing. So in the video, he says, "You gentlemen from America." I just decided not to derail him during the interview and just let him go. And so just to cover that one. But there is a great interview with that guy, and man, it's a banger. It's awesome. It was one of the moments where I felt like I was really on the right path.
Absolutely. Okay, with that being said, I just want to thank you so much, Clark, for being here. And I wish you all the best. I look forward to watching the rest of your videos. That it was a good memories from Freedom Village on Facebook. Jeff is the one actually who's sending me the United Tribes flag. The guy who started that group, and he's sending me a bunch of "We Came Here for Freedom" stickers. Yeah, do you know him? Okay.
Yep, and I've met him down at Wellington, so yeah, I know him. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Doesn't sound like I'm echoing right now. Oh, nope, there it is. Okay. So just hang on one second while I wrap this up. And I just want to thank you very much, Tyler, aka Rave Dark. I very much appreciate you being a guest here on my show. And thanks again for signing my flag while I was out in Ontario.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate it.
No, it's been an honor and a privilege to be here. And just to bring it's all coming back up now. There's been a lot of memories and a lot of things that I thought I'd do and I said I'd do and all that. And it's really bringing it all back to me right now. And it's been a great experience to be on the show and speak with Clark. And start to re-engage with the community. You know, it's I went through a little bit of the discrimination thing and all that. It was bad in the beginning, and like I said, things have changed a lot. So now I think really, I think people are ready for it now. They're ready to take a second look at what maybe they believed a few years ago.
That's very true. Okay, gentlemen, on that note, oh, hang on, Clark's got.
I've never done one of the, I don't really do these Zoom or these sort of chats. Are they, can this be watched later on? Do they get recorded, these chats? So, oh, cool.
Yes, you'll be able to, I'll send you the link for my YouTube channel. I think I sent it to you already, but this show in particular, I'll send you the link and you can share it everywhere that you want to. Absolutely. Fantastic interview. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I'm going to chuck you backstage and I'll say my final goodbyes. Thanks again for being here.
One last thing.
Oh, hang on. Go ahead.
Just a message from Canada, from all of us everywhere. Strong and free. Take care, guys.
Absolutely. Honk, honk. All right, guys. Okay. That's fantastic. Thank you, everybody who joined in. And yeah, if you haven't liked the video already, please go ahead and do so. And if you haven't subscribed, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. On that note, yeah, thanks everybody in the chats. I don't usually read the messages as they come along, but I do try to highlight, and I do try to jump in and comment. But yeah, no, I appreciate each and every one of you. And yeah, honk honk, keep on trucking, everyone.